Now that we have completed a basic version of the missing operators game, an important question that comes up is why is it that we limited ourselves to only plus or minus over here? And what is it that we have to do if we were to let this restriction go, which means if we allowed operators like plus, minus, multiply, divide all together? The answer really comes down to the complexity of programming and understanding what is called operator precedence. This is best understood through some examples. So let's just take some simple examples. Let's say my three numbers were 2, 3, and 4. Let's say num1 was 2, num2 was 3, and num3 was 4. Say the chosen operators are plus and plus, like in our case it's possible. Then what we were doing is correct because we first did 2 plus 3, num1 plus num2, and then we added the result to num3. So 2 plus 3 first and then 4 to the result. That's exactly how we have written our code, if you recall. Let me just show you what I mean. So first we compute num1 plus num2 or num1 minus num2. And then I take this result, the partial result, and go and add or subtract num3 depending on OP2. However, this sequential computation will break apart if, let's say, the chosen operators are plus and multiply, because now I cannot do 2 plus 3 equals to 5 first and then compute 5 times 4, because the correct answer for 2 plus 3 times 4 is in fact 14, where 3 times 4 is being done before adding 2. Which means that I cannot, the code will become quite cumbersome for me to write out all these conditions, or I have to somehow smartly determine that, there's a difference in precedence in these operators and I must do something different here. So that's the reason, that we have kept it simple for now, sequential computation with equal precedence operators. But, certainly this can be extended provided we take into account this precedence. Now, what does precedent really mean? Precedence means, when we have to compute these results, which operator gets computed first and which should be next. In fact, it turns out that this is very, very similar. Very similar, I would say, to the so-called BODMAS rule that we learn in mathematics, which is bracket, off, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. I've listed out some operators for you here, in the list, in the degree of precedence. The highest precedence goes to brackets, then exponentiation, say powers, like say 2 to the power 3 and so on and so forth. Multiply, divide, equal precedence, and finally addition, subtraction. So we limited ourselves to addition, subtraction. An equally easy game will follow if we, for example, used multiply and divide, because they are equal precedence. But the moment I mix these two, I have to be careful, because like I told you, 2 plus 3 times 5 is actually 17. What's happening is 3 times 5 is being computed first, 15, and then plus 2, which is 17. Similarly, however, 4 by 2 times 3 can be computed either way, because division and multiplication are the same precedence. But notice here what happens when I have 2 to the power 3, that's 8. That's fine, 2 times 2 times 2. If I have 2 plus 3 to the power of 2, exponentiation has higher power than addition, but this is inside a bracket. And hence I will compute 2 plus 3 first, which is 5 square 25. Now again, as I keep telling everybody, do not try to memorize these examples. Try this out. Try out this experience, these computations. Use Python as a calculator to compute some formulas, like let's say area of a square, or let's say volume of a cone or something like that, which allows you to use these operators quite meaningfully, and you will get a sense for these quite easily. Take one more example here. 2 plus 3 plus 5 is 25, times 5 is 25 because of this bracket. Without this bracket, the same thing would have been 17. So if we, build our missing operators with all these rules in mind, then definitely we can, incorporate these, but obviously the code becomes a little bit more involved. Just a few notes here. We are only looking at the arithmetic operators because those are relevant to numbers. There are other operators too, but we can come back to those later. There's also two special types of division. One is floor division, one is modulo. They have the same precedence as division and multiply, so I didn't write them here. And look at, as I said, how similar this is to the BODMAS rule that we learn in mathematics. It's in fact almost exactly the same, which is also quite logical. So, I think we already spoke about this. How do you compute, the RHS? If the operators are of equal precedence, as we have done here, then just compute them from left to right. If they are of a different precedence, be careful. First compute the one which has a higher precedence, then the lower precedence, and so on and so forth. So, obviously more coding is required to do this. That's why this is all left as a bonus. But I hope this gave you an idea on, what exactly is to be done. For now, we limited ourselves to a simple situation where operators have equal precedence. But go ahead, try this, and you will find that it's actually more and more interesting as you add more operators. Take care. Thank you so much. And again, If you think learning this way by building activities is fun, do look at our website because we have a lot of material for you. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.